I'm your host Salim bin Mohammed Rafi and it's my YouTube channel Zamir Universal. Why has no government, however strong, has ever been able to defeat gurila or win in guerrilla war? This can guerrilla war, you look in South America, you look in Africa, you look in even Indians against the British. They were always gone for centuries. And from one generation to the other, one whose you killed any of the guerrilla, his son will take its revenge from you and will hide in the jungles, hide in the tunnels, or camouflage, turned into and put a women's dress or have masks. And so you can't, even your artificial intelligence, everything will fail because human is the ground of creation and nothing is going to help you to get rid of or defeat gorilla. So one of the severest and the worst mistake this mentally deranged Netanyahu has made is to that jump, in spite of the fact his own senior retired generals, his own people, his own well-wishers, his own the best supporter like United States, supplier of arms and billions of dollars, and having given him like a mother who could suck her milk, they supported this, ever they created this illegitimate child. Illegitimate child is often more dear to you than one which comes out of your marriage. So the Zionist state is illegitimate. It's after it was conceived by illicit relations between the people who took the British all the arms from the Palestinian, and they not only trained the Zionists but they gave them the arms. So you can see the list of massacres from 1947 on, that how many times they have butchered. So Gaza is perhaps 20th massacre done by these Zionists, where the world kept its eyes closed, and all the international order after the Second World War to have peace in this world, Human Rights Watch, Human Rights Organization, United Nations, UNICEF, everything has failed. Even the International Court of Justice at the moment is struggling and being, I think, threatened by the rogues, by the criminals, by the terrorists. Why you call the Taliban terrorists? Why you call Hamas terrorists? The biggest terrorist is United States of America. Look its record of last 2 years. In 200 years, if you look at the terrorist activities of the United States, it will top the list of the whole world as a terrorist who has gone and invaded. It herself is protected by two great oceans of the world and has never ever been conquered. So, but made it as his a duty to kill people, to go and invade. Look what is done to Middle East, done to Vietnam, and now you can see is now sticking and jamming its horns with China, and how India is ditching this country and spitting on him. And now first they took up their things and they showed him the thumbs up, that when they took oil from Russia, just refined it and sold it the whole of Europe. So that was the first thing that butcher of Gujarat was stood up against Trump, and then Biden, and then the whole administration and Jewish administration as well, and spitted on them. And now look at this Chahbar thing, which again is another thing. Now, if you look at India, it's the biggest rogue in the world, is going to destroy and take your petrodollar thing away, and so your hegemony is going to be destroyed by this Narendra Modi, a Hindu nationalist who wants to take India back at least 2000 years back to Stone Age, so that they only can practice the type of Hinduatva which they used to practice at that time, drink cow urine and the cow dung and be naked from below and put bells on their genitalia and they walk naked, and that's some sort of their prayer. So this is what I think it's done. You only can put sanctions or you can do to the poor countries like that. And you know that that is also going to be taken away from you once the BRICS comes into effect, which it is had, and people start trading either in barter trade or commodity versus commodity or in yuan or in Russian ruble, and that be the end of dollar. You can't then print, and you will already owe trillions of dollars to China, and so with that you will fail to that. So who is going to take this ship and sink into the depths of the ocean is your illegitimate child called the Zionist state of Israel. Let that go. See the infighting. And the mentally deranged person who does not listen to you, look what is he doing to his own defense minister, chief of army staff, and all the people. Look at the hatred. Look at all the demonstrations of the grieving mothers. So, if you want peace in this world, straight away declare the independence of Palestine state. Give them more than half of the present Zionist state with at least 3 or 4 harbors. Start from Haifa. Give them Eilat, give them Haifa, give them all the way. It includes West Bank and the area between the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. Live peacefully then with Tel Aviv, with the 1 or 2 harbors which you will get, and then you will have a calm and quiet Lebanon border, Syrian border, even the Egyptian border. What else you want? Trade in peace with this thing and swallow your spit back. But you cannot do that unless you get rid of this mentally deranged man called Netanyahu.
Another crisis seems to be brewing for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and this time it's with his Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. The two were to host a joint conference on Saturday, but Gallant was a no-show.
I suggested to the defense minister tonight to hold a joint press conference, and he decided what he decided.
The two aren't strangers to disputes. Netanyahu had fired Gallant in March for objecting to his controversial judicial reform proposal. Gallant's dismissal was reversed weeks later, and the proposed legislation passed, but being challenged in the Supreme Court.
Unfortunately, there is a tension between Netanyahu and Gallant, and this is not new. Several months ago, Netanyahu decided to dismiss Gallant from his position as defense minister. But, frankly, this is what distinguishes Netanyahu. Netanyahu cannot see any minister taking independent steps that might be considered a threat to Netanyahu.
The rift between Netanyahu and Gallant has deepened because of the ongoing war, and the Prime Minister is facing mounting pressure domestically for the security and intelligence lapses that happened on October 7th, and internationally to accept a ceasefire. The latest polls show his popularity has plummeted to an all-time low, and it's believed the veteran politician has sought to prevent other members of his security cabinet, including Gallant, from receiving credit for securing the release of Israelis under the hostage deal. Israeli media have reported that there is disagreement between Netanyahu and senior army officials regarding assessments, plans, and decisions about the conflict in Gaza.
Netanyahu is talking, I think, that from his stomach, from his emotion, not from his head. Netanyahu is talking also in order to continue the war, to make it as long as it can be, because he needs time. That's the most important thing. And therefore he's also making some kind of a political game during the war.
Some accuse Netanyahu of wanting the spotlight to himself and preserving his legacy.
Gallant is a pure defense minister. He's talking about defense, he's talking about the needs of Israel, and just about the interest of Israel, not about the interest of Netanyahu.
While Netanyahu and Gallant both claim they are united in their goal in the fight against Hamas, they seem to differ on how to get there. Muhammad Al-Qasim, TRT World, Jerusalem.
Have you guys done IDF service yet?
Yeah, we still serve.
What do you think of IDF compulsory service, making kids 18, 19, 20 join the military?
We don't have a choice, but it's good for the country. We don't really. We have to do. Yeah, we have to do it because no one else will protect it.
Yeah.
In a military cemetery on a hillside in Jerusalem, they are burying their dead in a way Israel has not done for 50 years. Not since a national war of survival half a century ago has this country dug so many graves for so many soldiers in so short a time. And today the shock of it all gave way to unremitting grief. It was one funeral after another here, almost one every hour. The one we witnessed was of 21-year-old Afia Tester, whose tank unit was attacked on the Gaza border. With fighter jets threatening to drown out the eulogy, it's clear the sense of security they have cultivated here has been shattered in 48 hours. But it is, say those mourning their friends, a moment that will bring unity to a divided Israeli nation.
I believe that everyone here, those who, in the right side of the map and the left side, everyone wants the best for the country. It's tough. We disagree about a lot of stuff, but in the end, we all want the best for the country, the best for the citizen.
It's been quite a divisive year for Israel. Do you think this will bring a sense of unity? Is that something that will come from this?
I would say that always in times of complete crisis, there is unity. We'll see what happens afterward.
Families destroyed by loss. It is what war does. And the overwhelming sadness is that on both sides of this seemingly unbridgeable divide, there is much, much more to come.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to oppose the neocon march into another war in the Middle East. It is the same chorus. This time it's Iran. John Bolton, who blundered us into Iraq, now is calling for strikes on Iran all over CNN and cable news. And then you've got Senator Marsha Blackburn saying that we need retaliatory strikes into Iran. And of course, who can forget Senator Lindsey Graham saying hit them hard, blow them off the map. This is foolishness. Let me be clear. The American people, Democrats or Republicans or independents, do not want another war in the Middle East.
Israel is bombing Lebanon, is bombing Syria, is bombing Gaza, and you're worried about the Yemenis interfering with ships because there's money been lost over it? Is it a joke? Honest, I just don't understand how you can take this perspective. What he's going to do about it? Is he ever going to tell Israel that they're committing a genocide? Because if this is not a genocide that's going on in Gaza, then what would you call it? That's one of my questions to you. I want you to know, what would you call what's going on in Gaza if it's not a genocide? And my other question to you is, if right now the US and UK are bombing cities in Yemen, do you think that's against the UN Charter? Because I do. Please tell me. It might be okay with the international rules-based order that you just make up as you go along, but it is not okay with the UN Charter. Give us a break.
633, Abu Bakr launches 2 armies at the same time, simultaneously. One into the Persian Empire, one into the Roman Empire. Outnumbered, outmanned, out-technologied. There's no way the Arabs should prevail. Within a few decades, they completely conquer the Persian Empire. It was 1,200 years old at that point. They bring the Romans to their knees. They don't finish them off. But by the time they're done, so from 633, the moment they start the conquering, to 711, the moment they've conquered Spain, they owned everything from Pakistan to Spain and Central Asia. They built the largest empire in human history in just a few decades. 60% of the world's Christian population. The empire itself was 2% Muslim, but it owns 60% of the world's Christians. It was an empire of Buddhists and Hindus. There were even some pagans hanging around, and Zoroastrians.
But to march forward, it does require solutions, not problems to every solution that is presented. This is a choice, it's a mindset also, from my office and from the Libyans. The world is very imperfect. The law has some fundamental requirements that can't be airbrushed away or diluted, but it can be a solution to problems that exist. And in my first briefing to the Council on this situation, I hoped, I prayed, I intimated that there was an opportunity that if a cause could unite this Council, naively perhaps, but I believed and hoped it would be the cause of international criminal justice. Which state is in favor of genocide, war crimes, or crimes against humanity? Which state doesn't want to be a protector of the vulnerable? Which state does not want to be on the side of legality and against the kinds of violations that we see in so many parts of the world? And notwithstanding all the difficulties that surround us in a very often dysfunctional world, a world in which too many people feel exposed to the elements, I still think this presents an opportunity, if we work together, if we realize that continuing business as usual will lead us to the abyss and beyond, to do the right thing and look at people that have little shelter, that have suffered enormously for many different reasons, and that the rule of law must count for them. So a paradigm shift is still needed. It's not going to be achieved by words or a strategy or a roadmap. It's something that we all individually as states, as the Council and as Libya and my office, we have to really try to be servants of something bigger than ourselves. If we can allow the law to breathe at this moment, if we can recognize that different states and different interests have certain situations that are politically difficult for them, but realize that there is value in an international criminal court that is not part of the political discourse, but is trying and endeavoring to be blind to the noise, deaf to the noise, but applying something that should be pristine and valuable, which is a yardstick of human conduct that should bind us all to keep us away from that abyss that I mentioned. It could yet be a moment of reawakening to change direction, because otherwise, when one looks at Libya, when one looks at other situations in the world, whether it's Ukraine or whether it's Palestine or whether it's the Rohingya or whether it's any other place one wishes to look at, we see issues. And so this is the time, I think, for the law to be allowed to breathe, as the Council has found, as a precondition for stability and international peace and security, which are direct responsibilities of the Council. To do that, Mr. President, we need to understand that the Rome Statute, the Geneva Conventions, customary international law, and the UN Charter are part of the tapestry of civilization that will allow us to survive this present inclement weather, this present perilous moment that we're facing, if we are real and sincere that every human life matters equally. The rule of law must apply in Libya as it must in every other situation. We can only do that with your help, your support, your solidarity for something otherwise that can be rendered irrelevant, but something that can't, and that is the law. So, Mr. President, thank you so much for the opportunity. I always remain ready and willing to engage with the Libyan authorities and also this Council. Thank you.
यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें, उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार ज़रूर